the super exciting internal Cayenne comparison, the all-new Porsche Cayenne electric versus the so far and still existing Porsche Cayenne combustion engine. This one here, the base model V6 against the base model electric. What are the differences in exterior and interior and their technology? And you also tell us in the comments which one is your favorite, just from the initial reaction. And then after you've watched the whole review, then tell me again if you would stick with this or with this version. This will be super exciting here with Thomas and Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go, starting with the all-new one, the electric, which is more streamlined, so to speak, aerodynamically optimized, CD value at 0.25, whereas here with the combustion engine model we were at 0.35. So massive difference. CD value, of course, is when it's higher, it's worse in this case. But you can also see it just visually. The classic Cayenne SUV ICE model here, like really high, big stance on the road, typical very strong SUV styling in chalk gray here, by the way, from the color. Lamp logic is kind of the same. You get matrix LED, optional HD matrix LED, and the same also for the electric model, which is now, you can see, lower, better for the aerodynamics, not that strong from the stance. This typical Porsche 4-dot design also, like they have in all the other electric models, like in the Macan and in the Taycan, for example. Yeah, and of course, a huge difference is always then that in the front you have the frunk and not the combustion engine hood. We'll also take a look at that very, very soon. So we already had discussions with Leah. Leah says, like, initially she likes the electric front better. I'm sometimes a little bit more conservative as for design decisions, so I like the combustion engine from the front design a little bit more because it has like this strong SUV sense. But maybe I'll get used to the electric version as well. But there's so many more technology differences to come. Here with the EV version, you can either swipe on the hood to open it, or you can also press the key fob here and just one click and it directly opens. There is no additional lock necessary, and then you have 90 liters here of additional front space, so you can very well use it not only for a charging cable but for even more things. Then of course closing it again on the Porsche crest. There we go. Just want to be gentle. Gentle. And then with the combustion engine, of course, we have the engine under the hood. Here we have the 3-liter V6 bi-turbo with just over 350 horsepower. All-wheel drive, of course, as for all Cayennes with the combustion engine. There we go. Large engine cover, and the acceleration figure here is 6 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. This one already has more than 400 horsepower. It always depends on the horsepower output if you count in the launch control mode or in the constant horsepower output. In this one here, 4.8 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. So the electric version is already a little bit quicker. Big illuminated Porsche lettering for the rear of the electric version here. This all new one, light strip going all the way through. Horizontal stress indeed, and considering it's very aerodynamic in the front, this one looks actually a little bit more rectangular, I would say, if we compare it to the combustion engine very soon. But let's first focus on the side profile and the differences there. Here, the electric version, you can see a little bit lower, and once again, not that much of a classic super upright SUV form, but still you see Cayenne a little bit. Painted wheel arches here also. The vanadium gray is the vehicle paint. Then you have a darker gray here for the painted wheel arches. They are always painted, by the way. 22-inch wheels. You would start from 20-inch wheels. And we soon also have the comparing wheels with the combustion engine model. The length here with the electric one is 4.99 meters or 196 inches. And also frameless doors. This is a special thing, definitely. And now to the differences with the combustion engine model. So this one here is in the length 6 centimeters or 2 inches shorter. However, the wheelbase difference is even larger. So this one here, 13 centimeters or 5 inches shorter wheelbase, or longer than with the electric version. Here we also have the optional 22-inch wheels, by the way, in the nice retro style. I really love that styling. And the chalk gray color here, the same body color and also in the wheel arches. And you can see this more classic upright styling, also a little bit higher. You can imagine that it's not so good against the wind, basically, but it conveys more classic SUV feeling, so to speak. Yeah, and the wheelbase is the main difference. And also that here the doors, they are with frame. So this is one of the main differences. And both are or will be available as the classic SUV form, as we have it here, and also as the coupe, the SUV coupe. It's there for the combustion engine model and will also come for the all-electric model. And for the rear, since the facelift, we also have this light strip that goes all the way through. So that's more or less the same, only that the Porsche lettering is not illuminated. And the funny thing is that although the electric version looks a little bit more roundish in the front, in the rear, the combustion engine looks a little bit more round, X-shape, so to speak. And of course, the exhaust tips, here in this case, the optional sports exhaust. And on the technology side, they both offer air suspension and also rear axle steering. However, the electric version comes standard with the air suspension, whereas it's an option with the combustion engine model. And we're soon also going to talk about the prices. So it is the case that with the electric one, you already have a little bit more tech already included from the base version. Whereas range, charging and so on is of course not the thing with the combustion engine. It is of course for the electric one. Battery at 108 kilowatt hours net. WLTP figures around 640 kilometers. We have to see what it is in the realistic range. I would suppose maybe like 130, 140 kilometers now on the motorway, maybe towards 500 kilometers, 300 miles. We'll test it for you very soon. And recharging here, this is the electric charging flap. It actually goes here on the inside then. There we go, AC 11 or later 22 kilowatt charging, and DC charging is actually a 400 kilowatt peak, and we have already tested it, and we could score less than 15 minutes from 10 to 80% state of charge. In our test, even 8 to 80% in 14 minutes 40 or something it was. So that's a very impressive charging from this 800 volt architecture. Now to the interior of the electric version. First, completely new cockpit, digital instruments, curved, optional passenger screen here, also really wide black panel behind it. In the base version it would be a completely black panel without the passenger display, and of course the most obvious thing and the difference, the central screen here the curved way. So this is a new thing to experience, especially when you have like a menu like this. And some say that they might feel a little bit dizzy when looking at that. Here for example also at the map. You really, look at my finger, and then you have this lower overlay there here. So you have this mood selection, for example, which also affects the ambient lighting. But you can also swipe away this lower thing, and then you have the full view here at this curved display. And the advantage is that the things in the lower part are actually nearer to your finger. Also then here you can also open, close the charging flaps from here, select the air suspension settings, a cool visualization, and the software is, more up to date. The hardware behind it is also way quicker than with the combustion engine model. Yet at the same time, you still have the classic climate unit with clicking sound, metal knurling here, volume jog also, metal nerd and manual. So I really appreciate still to have that. I'm maybe not the biggest fan of this curved screen. I don't need to have it, but it also doesn't disturb me that much, let's say it that way. Speed chime deactivation is in the upper left corner, by the way, very important for this EU chime law. Steering wheel is not too different, classic Porsche, also with real controls here, turning knob also, then for the drive mode selection, for example. And the digital instruments, I have the speed right there in the center where I need it. Here, of course, with the electric gauges. Big difference also with the middle console, but quickly just to the headroom. here with 189/602, enough headroom left. This also with a real panoramic roof, I can actually really open that as well. And seating position, seats, they're not uncomfortable. And in the comfort seat, you can also get the animal-free interior with a Pepita retro fabric, which looks quite cool, and it's even a little bit softer from a seating surface. And then you also get the Racetex microfiber steering wheel. So that would be my tip. First of all, go for the comfort seat and then also for this Pepita retro fabric. Middle console line here is a big difference. Here you have this armrest, slick. Then this one you can already see there, it will slide away like this. And then this front part, also with a nice metal knurling, you slide open to the front. And then first cool thing is there you have a new inductive charging pad. And if I put my smartphone there, this is magnetic and it automatically locks. So it stays in a good position that it definitely charges inductively. And I'm not sure if you hear that. Automatically the ventilation is starting. It's quite powerful. You don't see the ventilation hole, but it's there. You can hear it actually. 2 USB-C chargers as well. And then there has been a lot of discussion about these cup holders with fabric inserts, interestingly, that they're a little bit adaptive. And they're either in this lower position or you can put them out basically, turn them around and then put them here in this higher position. There we go. Then they are a little bit better accessible, higher. It always depends on if you put bottles in there or coffee cups. This is more than the coffee cup position, so to speak. Some say that they are too low down there and it's not that practical. So yeah, what's your take? Definitely what's the case is it's a very modern cockpit. Yet at the same time, I'm happy we still have the classic physical interface. And now the combustion engine model here, the Cayenne V6. Different interior, maybe a little bit more old school. The steering wheel is more or less the same, you know, with the controls and so on, so not much difference there. Instruments, yeah, they're a little bit wider with the electric version maybe, but you see the speed there. That's also not the biggest difference, let's say it that way. Here, more horizontal stress from this screen. You don't have the curved screen, and honestly, I maybe get along better with that with a straight one, but you can see that the software is way slower, so that's much quicker with the new version. Optional here again also the passenger screen. I like this classic grab handle here on the middle part, and we also have the clicking sounds here. However, I gotta say now, when I compare it, that the new version is a little bit more ergonomic in how you reach the things. Also even the climate unit, because it's more placed like here. Also then where you place your phone is like really deeply hidden in the top part there. It's not much space, so that's maybe also a downside. And then here the cup holders, to me a little bit better with the adaptive thing here. Well, the other one has the fabric adaptive thing. Here they're a little bit more upright. However, you have the thing here that in the American version, this one here is locked. But in the European version, when you put your arm here, sometimes it can happen that this one slides forward while braking. You know, when for example, you have 2 arms here, one here, and then you brake and it could slide forward. We had it sometimes in the Cayenne. So with the lock in the American version, it's better. More space underneath here. A little bit more classic layout. So you see that they haven't like, you know, thrown the old things completely away, like also the sports chrono package and so on. But the new one is a little bit more modern. And I gotta say, it has pros and cons. Yeah, I'm maybe not the biggest fan of the curved screen, but it makes a huge difference when the software is way quicker and also when the things are a little bit better oriented in the ergonomic sense, gotta say that. And here, well, this one is the one without the panoramic roof, so it's not the one-to-one comparison, but also enough headroom here, of course. And the seating position is pretty much the same from the seat, also the sport seat here. However, you still sit higher here. This is the more higher classic SUV seating position. Now the rear of the electric version, first of all here, windows, dual laminations, available front and rear. You can see here, this is then also the lowest position of the rear window. And I can also show you here, what you can also get is this electric sunshade for the rear. That's a pretty cool luxury option. Interesting how they also put this Leah styling color here on the inside of the door here. No felt covering on the inside of the door either. Some rubber pocket in the very back part. We also have electric seats here for the rear, front and back here, for example, and also the inclination of the seat can be changed. This is also how you can get to this cargo position, for example. And the most important thing here is, of course, legroom and headroom. And what's the comparison to the combustion engine? So we have a longer wheelbase here, and you can see here, ample of legroom, although I'm sitting as a tall adult in the front. And this is the version with the panoramic roof. Still have some headroom left here with one A96 with to the seating right here. Yeah, and then once again the electric shade here. And yeah, it's upright seating position if I like this. Once again here with the inclination change or more backward. Pretty stiff from the bolstering here if you have the animal skin surfaces, and this single seat setup here for the seats. Let's see how it's in comparison to the combustion engine. Now the combustion engine in the rear, yeah, not the frameless doors we have here, everything wrapped tightly. This is actually a better covering at the inside of the door, I gotta say that. Then the seat control, you can also move them forward and backward manually here though. And the main difference is, of course, now I want to see the legroom is also good. So no problem as for that. However, I gotta say, it's a little bit more legroom in the electric version, but it would not be the main game changer to me. So not everything of the wheelbase somehow translate into the rear legroom. This is also still fine, also from the headroom. So the comfort is, I say, more or less the same, not the most crucial difference. And let's check out the trunk, 7 and 8 liters in the cargo position here for the Cayenne Electric. You can see here this top cover, you can put forward or backward like this. Underneath you have some more space, also maybe for a charging cable, but you can also use the frunk. And the interesting thing is cargo position. What does it mean? It would mean that these seats here are in the upright position, and you can also put them a little bit more forward. So this is what you could maximum do. Wow, that's like, so you can see then the difference between all the way back and all the way forward. But how does it look like in the combustion engine? And now something extraordinary here, the combustion engine model from the trunk or the boot. 770 liters in the cargo position. So also if you put the inclination all the way upright. And here also I put the bench forward and the inclination upright. But the interesting thing is that width is like a little bit more than 1.40 meters with both. And also the length is about 1.40 meters with both. The main difference is, however, and I still kind of wonder if this one has 10 liters less of capacity on paper, but still the height is better here. So this is where the electric version ends, like about 70 centimeters, 28 inches, and this one is more than 30 inches or like 77 centimeters. So this is like the height difference here, electric and the combustion engine. So if you need more like in height here, then this is better. However, somehow due to the form, you don't lose much in the electric version with the liter figures. Yeah, that's a curious thing. What about the price as well? It's actually fairly simple and fairly simple expensive because both versions here in the base models, the V6 Cayenne combustion engine and the Cayenne Electric, start right over 100,000 euros. And just a couple of thousand euros difference, you know, depending also on the market, but it's more or less the same. We have to see how it is in the leasing rates, of course, and also as for the residual values. And also if you spec these vehicles, you can easily add some 50,000 euros, for example, to this one, as it stands here right now, like 155,000 euros. But you can also easily add a lot of extras to the electric version, of course. However, some more base equipment is already in there. And if you now think about what you get as a base equipment and also how quick the acceleration is, then you could say maybe the electric is a better price-performance ratio. However, as the past experience is showing that the residual values so far were better with the combustion engine models, yeah, then as I said, we have to see about the all the leasing rates and so on the different markets. As for the exterior design, I have to say, I like the combustion engine more a little bit more from the front. However, I think the rear of the electric one is a little bit cooler. Definitely the SUV building style here, this classic one, more upright, stronger stance. And there here you can see the aerodynamic focus of the electric vehicle. The interior, on the one hand, some things are similar. A little bit more legroom here with the electric version. Of course, the all-new cockpit with this curved screen there. It looks more modern, definitely. What I find quite cool that with the new one, you have like the all animal-free interior, at least one offering, only one offering there sadly, but at least you have it now with the electric one, so that's a good step forward. And trunk, I think both are still well usable. Since we have already driven both, I mean they both drive fantastically, definitely, but with driving the electric one, you have to say, if you don't think about like the combustion engine sound, gotta say that the electric one maybe even drives a little bit better, even a little bit sportier, you know, in just how it handles. And that was to me like a very astonishing thing to feel. And yeah, the electric one has more performance boost. At the end of the day, it's also about personal preference and about, I think, more the charging infrastructure, if you already have that, because the range with that large battery will also be somewhat fine, and this also recharges extremely quickly, that there's not so much difference anymore between charging at the electric charging station and also just refueling here the fuel at the gas station. So very interesting to see all the similarities, but also the differences. The question is, which one would you go for? Which one would I go for? And I'm a little bit, yeah, I'm not 100%, you know, decided yet. Maybe the thing is really that I like this one so much more from the front, but then again, this one here with the possible animal-free layout is very convincing. And for example, also the taxation in Germany would be a big benefit here if I would go for the electric one. So actually, I would save then a lot of money if I would pick the electric version. And although I'm quite a fan of the combustion engine model still, which will still be sold in all markets as well, maybe some markets where they only offer electric, which have like crazy taxation on combustion engine or something, but you know, all the main markets, let's say it that way. I think although I'm still leaning a little bit, you know, like emotionally to the combustion engine model, after all, with the animal-free interior and the taxation benefits I have, probably then I would lean to try out the electric one. So that's my verdict here for today. What's yours? Tell me in the comments which one you like better, and also check out more Cayenne content here now on Autogefühl.